And he's back, the long-awaited return. It's been about a year and 4 months since we've seen the Jawaiian, Kamuela Kirk, and he's going to be taking on the former Samurai Fight House and FFC lightweight champ, Esteban Ribovics. And I know the fans are going to be excited about this fight because if you watch Kamuela Kirk fight on the regional scene, and if you watch that UFC debut against Makwan Amirkhani, Kamuela Kirk, winner, chicken dinner. And it's a deceiving 12-5 record because Kirk fought a lot of high-level opposition on his rise up into the UFC. I mean, he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt through and through, Siege MMA's own, which is kind of that appendage, but not really, with Santino DeFranco being the head man at the gym. Kamuela Kirk's one of those guys where the offensive wrestling might not be the best. It's not bad, but it's not the best. The takedown defense might not be the best, and you saw that tested in the 2 UFC fights. But Kirk will make you pay with his strikes. He loves to throw the head kick. He can throw some really, really accurate combos when he decides to let the hands go. And he's one of those guys that never takes his foot off the gas. And that's kind of the strange thing about Kamuela Kirk, because he does a good job of cutting the cage. He does a good job of walking down his opponents. Then he kind of waits, and then he's always loading up for the left hook to the body. So you love to see that strike, and then he likes to come up with the right. So for Kamuela Kirk, a lot of powerful strikes, but not a lot of volume on it. And he's taking on a very, very polished striker in Esteban Ribovics, a guy at a Killcliff FC. And listen, the head man, the Hall of Famer this week, Robbie Lawler, he's really kind of championing things for Killcliff on this card. But when you look at it for Esteban Ribovics, I mean, I'm going to read this one out. Left hook up top, right hook to the body, left hook to the body, right hook wobbles, right hook to the body, left hook to the body, overhand right. That was the 7-punch knockdown combo that Ribovics threw against Loic Radzhabov in his short notice UFC debut. And in that fight, did he get taken out on 11 of 21 attempts? Sure, but screw it. Esteban Ribovics is one of those guys that mixes it up so well. I mean, almost knocking out Virgil Hill with a body shot. Y'all must have forgot throwing those right hooks to the body.
Not almost. He did knock out Virgil Hill with a body shot.
Roy Jones did. Esteban never did, unless you're telling me something I didn't know. But when I look at a matchup like this, Matt, this is one of a few that kind of screams like low-key could be fight of the night on this card.
I try to reel myself in when I think about Esteban, because I gotta be honest, I know Dante Exum just signed a contract with the Dallas Mavericks, and no one's more excited about it than your boy over here. But I do find myself getting quite excited about all the positives in his game. You bring it up. When his boxing is complete, when he is able to throw in combination, I really do think that's the key. He's not somebody who, like a Robbie Lawler, who you bring up. It is weird. Lawler's a guy who will throw that straight left. He will throw a lot of jabs. But other than that, it is a lot of him loading up on bigger power shots. Esteban does let his combinations really speak for themselves. And I know that's a very woof way of talking about it, but it reminds me of what Dan Hardy always said. You can choose which punches are your power punches in your combinations. And I think Esteban does a good job of that. You bring it up. He goes to the head and the body very effectively, but he's not putting everything on all of his shots, and he will disguise some of his, I'm not going to call them pitter-patter shots, because I do think he is a very heavy-handed striker, don't get me wrong, but I do think he does do a good job of disguising, hey, these are my volume strikes, and these are my power strikes. What I am curious about, and I went back to this when you were talking, when Edson Barbosa fought Beneil Dariush, I know he knocked him out, it was a crazy flying knee knockout, right? Edson Barbosa beat him because he was really able to judge, okay, are these jabs that are trying to hurt me, or are these jabs that are leading to a takedown? And for Edson's credit, he was able to decipher what was what. What I'm curious about with Kamuela Kirk is, if he is in that pocket that we talk about where he does have a lot of success with his own power shots, is he going to be able to decipher what strikes of Esteban are more of those volume strikes and what ones are the power shots? Because if he's able to stand in there for an extra couple, kind of parry and block some of the more volume-centric strikes, I do think he can land his own power shots. And I do think that when I at least initially thought about this fight, I thought, oh, Esteban's going to just be like 90% success in the feet. But I don't think that's going to be the case at all. I do think Kamuela Kirk's going to have his own success in those positions.
If Kirk keeps it a kicking range, he can have a ton of success. And if you watch Kamuela Kirk on Contender Series, he lost to Billy Quarantillo after beating him in the first round handily.
He even took him down in that one.
And then slowing down in the second round and ended up getting finished in the end of it. But if you look at it for Kirk, I mean, yeah, he had tons of success in the wrestling. He had a lot of success when it came to his strikes on the feet. But the weirdest part about this fight that might kind of get brushed off is the fact that these two guys were supposed to fight back in March. It was supposed to be a lightweight contest, and Kamuela Kirk pulled out. And I'll throw up his Instagram post there because he fractured his L5 in his lower back, and he's gotten better since. But if you look over on his Instagram, a lot of grappling. He got his first stripe on his black belt, so that's pretty cool to see. But For Kirk, you worry a lot about that injury coming back into a
one.
matchup like this, especially when it comes to a lot of the grappling and a lot of that stuff that you got to go for. So, Matt, when you do consider a matchup like this, again, I mean, Ribovics is one of those guys. You saw the right hand that dropped Thomas Paul. You see him from southpaw. He loves to throw the hooks out there.
Oh, yeah.
You saw him fight not really the greatest level of competition on the regional scene. The one really good guy that he did fight was Javier Basurto, and he also fought a really good guy in Jose Zaruz, who was 21-6-1, and it was a legit 21-6-1. I looked through it, but for Ribovics, a very fun prospect. He is almost a 2-1 favorite in the matchup. So we have a look at the Tapology vote. That gives us kind of a bit of a litmus test on what the fans are thinking out there on Tapology. I'm going to say over under 70% for Ribovics.
I think they'll be over.
I think they're going to be over. They are over. 964 total votes, 84% Ribovics, 71% by knockout over the 17% that have Kamwala Kirk, 66% by decision. Matt, I mean, Kamwala Kirk was in the same spot when he fought Makwan Amirkhani. And if you look on MMA decisions, 13-1 scored at 29-28 Amirkhani in that one. I was on the lone island going with Kamwala Kirk and being happy with the win. When it comes down to a matchup like this, I have a little bit of a harder time with Kirk taking all that time off, coming up a lightweight and having the injury. And for a guy like Ribovics, he could struggle in some of these grappling exchanges against Kirk.
He definitely could, but I do think he's going to make him pay for those grappling exchanges before they even happen. I do favor Ribovics with some of his hand speed, and I do think that's going to be a real big key. If he can get it into, and like you bring it up, if he's stuck at kickboxing range for the majority of this fight, if he finds himself missing a lot in the open octagon, he is going to be an absolute poster for a lot of counters as he's moving forward. But if he can keep it more of a stationary fight, keep his feet planted on the inside, I think he can have a lot of success with those boxing combinations.
A big time takedown, so got it done for Damon Jackson. Old Action Jackson. The last time out, and then he ended up getting the submission win. Matt, I do have Esteban Ribovics in the matchup. I think that boxing, so crisp, so clean. I think it'll get him the win. Both of us going with Argentina's Ribovics. Matt, Argentinian MMA. You got Ponzinibbio, you got Eileen Perez. You got, who else is
pretty
there?
hot right now compared to what it was 7
Laureano
years ago.
Staropoli. There's not really a lot of great fighters out of Argentina, so it's kind of a shot in the dark. Some big-time fights coming up this weekend, including the 2 title fights up at the top. You're not going to want to miss it. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, we always say. Let's get into it.